Hi, I'm Ellie. This is Ellie is in Wonderland, and today we are turning my latest Substack article into a video essay for you guys. If your TikTok feed has been anything like mine lately, it will have been inundated with countless amounts of advertisements, laser hair removal devices, fancy soaps, female multivitamins, detangling hairbrushes. The list goes on and on and on. They often come in the form of young, rich, beautiful influencers who already have the means to commit to such high maintenance lifestyles, telling you that this one product is going to change your life so dramatically you'll be following in their footsteps. Except you won't. Buying that one little product isn't suddenly going to make you the epitome of health and wellness, but it is going to help line the insides of their pockets. All whilst you desperately buy and buy whatever they sell to you in an attempt to sublimate into their culture. You see, the health influencers are friendly, they're approachable. They aren't selling you a brand new foundation that's going to make your skin worse or a dress that won't last more than 3 washes. They're trying to help you, trying to open your mind to a better, healthier way of living. Buy that raw milk, you're being lied to by big dairy. Buy those 50 supplements and vitamins. Who needs real medicine anyway? Don't fly on that plane, but definitely go on this spa retreat in Thailand I'm being paid to tell you about. They're not bloodthirsty salespeople, they're trying to help you. You're being sold snake oil, not wellness. According to Google, a snake oil salesman is a person who knowingly promotes or sells fraudulent, ineffective, or worthless products, remedies, or solutions, often using deceptive marketing or charismatic high-pressure sales tactics. This archetype came about after Clark Stanley was taken to court and fined for selling so-called snake oil. He claimed that the product had the ability to cure multiple illnesses, but after being tested and found to not contain anything snake-derived, he was fined $20, which is around $430 today. I'm not trying to claim that influencers selling these products are knowingly or intentionally trying to deceive their audiences, but there seems to be a general lack of knowledge, understanding, and legitimate research behind some of the gadgets that are being peddled, mainly towards young women. Perhaps one of the most famous examples of this type of marketing comes in the form of Gwyneth Paltrow and her wellness brand Goop. Goop went particularly viral after Paltrow made candles entitled "This Smells Like My Vagina." This certainly drew attention to her brand. Well, that and the yoni eggs. In 2018, Goop had to pay a settlement of $145,000 after a lawsuit. This came about after Goop had released yoni eggs, crystals of jade and rose quartz intended to be inserted vaginally. Goop claimed that by using the eggs, consumers could improve their menstrual cycles and muscle tone, amongst other things. It was proven that these claims were entirely false and potentially even harmful. Jade, being a particularly porous crystal, has the ability to harbour bacteria and cause harm when used internally. Much like Goop and Paltrow, many wellness influencers seem to be pushing products and ideas that aren't actually rooted in science, and more so vibes. For example, a silver-lined radiation blanket, intended to protect the body from excessive radiation exposure when flying. While they may potentially be able to protect the body from low-level radiation sources, the main type of radiation on a plane is called cosmic radiation. It comes from flying at high altitudes and is a type of ionizing radiation. In order to effectively block ionizing radiation, you will need to protect yourself behind dense materials such as concrete or lead. That silver blanket is not going to do anything, and according to RTK EMF protection, these blankets are not capable of shielding you from ionizing radiation, like the radiation from X-rays. For that, you would need professional medical equipment. The amount of radiation sustained from flying is very low level and is similar to the amount from an X-ray, and is way under the average amount of radiation a person is allowed to be exposed to in a year. Don't waste your money on blanket. Another prevalent trend in the wellness community that I seem to be seeing a lot these days is raw milk. Raw milk is milk that hasn't been pasteurized or homogenized. Pasteurization was invented by French scientist Louis Pasteur in the 1860s. The process is named after him. Pasteur also helps to develop vaccination and fermentation processes. Pasteurization is the process of heating milk and other liquids to a high temperature before cooling it down. By doing this, the bacteria such as E. coli, Listeria, and Salmonella are killed, making the milk safe for human consumption. By choosing not to follow this process, the milk can be potentially harmful, causing all sorts of milk-borne diseases and illnesses. Most of the arguments that I see in favour of raw milk claim that by heating milk, you are losing some of the nutritional value. According to the FDA, this is not true, and the risks certainly outweigh any potential benefits you may gain. In the UK, raw milk is not sold in regular supermarkets and instead needs to be bought locally at farms. This is often much more expensive than regular milk and harder to access. On average, a 2-litre bottle of regular milk costs around £1.25 to £1.60, whereas raw milk costs between £5 and £8 for the same amount. There's a certain image that comes from being able to buy high-end or expensive groceries, and it is one that the wellness community thrives off. Grocery hauls are a very popular video genre on TikTok, and there is a crossover between those and the wellness community. There is almost a theatrical element to the videos of beautiful women showing off their usually small but mightily expensive food shops. Whether intentional or not, it sends a message. You see, the food isn't bought in a Sainsbury's, not even a Marks and Spencer's or a Trader Joe's for any Americans. They're bought at farmers markets, health food shops, independent greengrocers, farms, or local butchers. For the wellness influencers, shopping this way is a non-negotiable in order to maximize health and nutrition, something that ordinary supermarket produce cannot provide. Nothing wrong with supporting local business, but the simple fact is that this kind of shopping is expensive and not something that the average person can afford to do on the regular. Wealth isn't being flaunted with new Chanel handbags, it's being flaunted through food. This is not the first time that food has been used as a currency or as a means of showing off. It's just that with social media, this type of content is much more accessible to us all. In the Victorian era, rich families built greenhouses in their gardens. The intention behind doing this was to grow pineapples, a fruit not native to England's dreary climate. If you were able to grow a pineapple yourself, it was a sign of immense wealth. First, you would have had to have built the greenhouse, but the cost of the heating and gardening materials as well as labour needed in order to simulate tropical conditions was very costly and could only be done by the very rich. Another example is in A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, Scrooge watches as the Cratchits eat a goose for their Christmas dinner, and at the end of the book, A Changed Man, Scrooge sends an enormous turkey, twice the size of Tiny Tim, over to them as a thank you. The Cratchits, being so poor, could never have afforded such a delicacy, noted when Tiny Tim stares longingly at it through the butcher's window earlier on in the book. It is an intense act of generosity when Scrooge bestows them with the turkey, but Scrooge, being so wealthy, could easily afford to do so. The class difference between the families is emphasised through the food. Now, modern-day influencers shop at places like Erewhon, notorious for its expensive smoothies and wellness foods. However, with more and more of these aggressively healthy hauls being pushed by the algorithm, what message does that send to the rest of us? That health is a luxury only able to be obtained by the wealthy, and that good food is the ultimate fashion accessory? Yet with all of the supposed healthy food, why are we still pumping ourselves up with oodles of supplements and nutritional IVs? I did the rough math on one influencer's morning supplement routine. If I were to buy all of the ones she recommended, it would at least cost me around £230. That's not cheap. But why are we doing all of this if we have such excellent nutrition from all of our amazing health food? Well, because they're being paid to. A lot of the vitamins included in the video are from a brand that they do a lot of undisclosed ads for. So they're being sent or gifted a lot of these products they are encouraging you to buy. Again, sending that all-important message that health is something that must be bought, not something accessible to everyone. More on those ads later. Within the grocery haul genre, there seems to be another, perhaps more sinister, subculture brewing underneath. Almond mums and almond daughters. Videos such as what it's like living in an almond household, shop with me as an almond daughter, and what I eat in a day as an almond mum are very popular, especially in the wellness niche. You see, almond people are aggressively healthy. They only eat clean, whole foods and steer away from sugar, carbs, and ultra-processed foods. You can see above an example of almond food staples. You may be confused at the moment. What's so wrong with eating healthy? Processed food is bad for you. You would be right. But very quickly, this sort of content blends into much more harmful ideas. The term almond mum originates from a viral clip of Yolanda Hadid, mother to supermodels Gigi and Bella, policing Gigi's diet in order to keep her weight as low as possible. In the clip, Yolanda tells a hungry Gigi to have a couple of almonds and chew them really well. Can we see why this term is problematic? Videos in response include people showing off their almond mums, showing viewers their mother's restrictive and disordered eating habits that have subsequently imposed a toxic and dangerous food culture onto their children. By claiming to be an almond daughter or an almond mum, intentionally or not, influencers are harking back to the original meaning of the term. While some almond daughters may just genuinely care about health and eating well, there are many posts under this subculture that cross over into eating disorder propaganda, orthorexia, and pro-Anna rhetoric. There are numerous videos online under the almond mum hashtag, images on Pinterest and Tumblr. But what actually are the consequences of such a restrictive diet and mindset? One user on TikTok accompanies her mother to the supermarket. Anytime she suggests something for them to buy, such as chocolate, she's told no, as the mother rattles off all of the horrible things that the ingredients list contains. Another is told not to eat bread, pasta, or rice, as they will just make her fat. Videos of people hiding the things that they eat from their almond mothers to avoid being chastised for not following the strict regimen. Feeling guilt for overeating or indulging, constantly feeling hungry, which may eventually lead to a binge, avoiding certain events where food may be involved to make sure that the diet is controlled at all times are all side effects of restrictive and disordered eating tactics. For many of these almond mums, they've grown up in periods of time where thinness and image has been extremely important, and tabloids and magazines have made it the main topic of conversation. It's no wonder that they've developed body image issues. But by continuing these habits, they've perpetuated the trend and passed the insecurities onto their children. And now it's being framed as wellness, luring others into the toxic cycle only for it to begin again. By using a certain heavily curated aesthetic and image, such as the one above, it appeals to a younger, more online, majority female audience, trapping them in the same cycles that took a hold of their mothers over 20 years ago. There will always be an angle, a motive, a reason to manipulate and coerce a group of people if there's money that can be made from it. What a lot of influencers also aren't disclosing is that the foods they are showing off and encouraging you to buy are from brands that have paid them to do so. I see so many undisclosed ads from wellness influencers promoting clean and non-toxic food brands that perfectly fit in with their almond diet. What they conveniently will forget to add is that they're receiving money for all their efforts. By making you insecure and hyper-aware of all the wrong things you're putting into your body, they can successfully convert you to an alternative, one that makes them money without you realizing. A lot of people in the wellness community will constantly complain about companies trying to sell you stuff with bad intentions, make it seem as though they're on your side, trying to protect you from big bad corporations, and in the same breath, they'll also turn around and promote things like this. At the end of the day, it's all capitalism, and there will always be an ulterior motive to everything that you are being sold. I think the solution to these issues is intuition. If something doesn't feel right, or you want to make a lifestyle change, do it because there's something deep within yourself that wants to make that change, not because some random influencer told you to. Do your own research on the things that are being pushed on you. It's most likely that within 10 minutes of research, you'd be able to debunk the supposed health benefits anyway. Listen to science, not word of mouth. Treat yourself. Don't be afraid of foods that aren't salad. Balance is key. Eat the cake, eat the salad. Eat the cookie, eat the couscous. Health and wellness doesn't follow a set of guidelines. It should fit into your life, not consume it. Be healthy to live. Don't live to be healthy. Otherwise, what's the point?